Hello everyone, this is Nick Naphacker coming to you live from Virginia Beach, Virginia with my Vampire Diaries video log for Season 4, Episode 2, Memorial. There was so much that went on in this episode that I've realized in order for me to do these vlogs effectively, I'm going to have to start keeping a blog log that for me to write down episode details, personal thoughts, because I don't want to run the risk of leaving anything out or making any mistakes, especially when you have episodes like this that are so content filled that it just makes your brain want to explode. All right, so Memorial. As the episode opens up, we have 3 transitioning scenes. First scene occurs in Pastor Young's now his home that is now pretty much ashes from him having blown it up. Connor Jordan, the hunter, shows up. He's a pretty tall, stout black guy, and he's wearing riding gloves. He goes in the house and he kind of looks around as though he's looking for something. And he comes upon a letter hidden in the stove, of all places, addressed to somebody named April. More on her in a minute. And he reads it. And then it switches to scene between Stefan and Damon in the Salvatore mansion. And they, of course, what else, are arguing over Elena. Stefan wants her to immediately go on to the bunny diet, the sooner the better, because he feels that the sooner she learns to control her urges, the sooner that she can get through the transition and she won't have to suffer anymore. Damon thinks that Stefan's being a moron, and he's kind of right, that he believes that Elena needs to be able to feel this bloodlust in order to learn how to control it. That's kind of how Damon dealt with his bloodlust. He allowed himself to feel everything and learn little by little how to control it, which is why he doesn't have any issues with it now. Stefan never allowed himself to feel any of it because he was so consumed with guilt every time he killed someone that the slightest taste of blood causes him to go in a ripper frenzy. But, you know, Stefan being Stefan, what Stefan wants, Stefan gets, right? Because only Stefan's right and only Stefan knows what's best. Okay. And then it switches. It seems like things are getting very tense, like to the point where they might actually get violent. Wow. Newsflash, because that's something so new. But Elena walks into the room and they try to keep it less tense for her benefit because she really doesn't need that kind of stress. It switches from there to the forest. Oh my God, don't get me started. He's trying to teach her, Stefan is trying to teach Elena how to feed off a deer. We're talking about Elena. She's more concerned about the deer's fate than herself. He did tell her that because she was now a vampire, that her emotions were going to be heightened and all kinds of out of whack. And I'm starting to wonder, I started to see patterns in this episode that every time she would get ill, it was preceded, like before she would get ill, it was preceded by being near someone who was in some sort of emotional upheaval. He shows her how to feed off the deer. She feeds off of the deer, and it seems like everything is okay. And he's got his hands on her, and they're getting flirty and dirty in the forest, and blah, 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 whatever, because you really need to be doing that right at that moment. I get that your emotions are out of whack, and your senses are heightened, and you're feeling things like crazy, but seriously, that is not what you need to be doing, and Stefan should know better. She needs to learn how to control herself, and she needs to do it quick. She didn't have time for getting down and dirty in the fucking forest. But hey, you know, what's Vampire Diaries without some boot knocking? So while they're getting their dirty on, all of a sudden this look comes over her face, and She runs away from him. Well, actually, at that moment, he was trying to teach her how to speed run, like with celerity, and she speed runs away from him into a clearing and starts to vomit. I know in some of the spoilers they said that this season for her was going to get kind of nasty, like disgusting nasty, and they weren't kidding. They really weren't kidding. Apparently, bunny diet not working for her. Her body has rejected that. And I don't know if it's because she felt the deer's suffering or she felt its pain. I mean, the deer wasn't dead. She only took enough for what was needed. She didn't kill it. But I don't know. It's just a thought. I'm really starting to think that she might have she might feel so much emotion that she's not only feeling hers, but she's feeling everyone else's. And that might be a contributing factor to her inability to keep blood down. Right around this time, Caroline, Tyler are, in Tyler's house, knocking boots. What's new? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Here's a thought, though. I understand that you're happy to have Tyler back. That's all hunky-dory and great and pretty and fine, but what the hell? He made a deal with Klaus to allow Klaus into his body, using Bonnie, making her use black freaking magic, which is potentially destructive for her. And Caroline has nothing to say about this at all, and Tyler acts like he's completely unaffected. Like it doesn't even matter. Hey, who cares? I had Klaus in my body, whatever, and I was watching him probably doing weird shit to you. Who cares? Seriously? Okay, the sex is not that important. The two of them need to have a conversation. Seriously. I get that it was probably not the best time frame for this with everything that's going on, but at some point the two of them need to sit down and discuss this. And discuss why he would make that kind of asinine deal in the first place. I'm guessing he was probably trying to protect himself and Caroline from dying if Klaus happened to die. But still, hey, as long as you get some really good hybrid nookie, who cares about the details, right? So, Connor Jordan shows up at the Lockwood Mansion, and by this time he's already spoken to Liz Forbes, so she knows that he's coming. And Liz informs Carol to let her know that she might be expecting him. He shows up, kind of tries to act all innocent, play dumb, but Carol's not having none of it. She's really kind of changed. At first she was this unknowing, innocent, person who really had no idea what was going on around her, and now she's really in the thick of it. She really kind of has a grasp now, and she has much more of an inner strength. And she tells him to get lost, kind of, and to stay away from Tyler. Tyler hears him come in and goes downstairs, and Connor introduces himself, and Tyler shakes his hand and goes down into the pain. Apparently, the gloves are steeped in vervain. Now, I know a lot of fans have asking, well, if vampires have such keen senses, aren't they supposed to be able to smell vervain? Well, my point of view, the gloves were probably steeped in vervain a long time ago, which means it's probably now permanently soaked into the leather. And if these gloves are that old, they might not be able to smell it. And that's small bit, so. Anyway, when Connor realizes that Tyler's a vampire, he shoots him. Tyler goes down. Carol freaks out. Tyler gets up, jumps out one of the windows, and Connor looks on like, what the hell? And goes after him, and Caroline runs down half naked, down the stairs, going, oh my God. Here's another thought. I don't know about you, but why is she allowing them to have sex in her house? Well, she's probably thinking, Calvin's a vampire, my son's a hybrid. If I told her no, they'd probably kill me. Well, no, they wouldn't kill her, but what can she really do to stop them? Seriously. Still, awkward? Slightly? Anyway. Moving on. Thoughts about Connor Jordan. He seemed to know his way around the house, around Pastor Young's house pretty decently. And the fact that he showed up that quickly lends me to believe that it was no coincidence that he showed up. A lot of people are saying, are the vampires only in Mystic Falls? Don't they ever go anywhere else? Obviously, they're in other places. But I don't think it was a coincidence that Jordan showed up. I don't know if the pastor called him in as a backup. It seems likely, because from his familiarity with the house, I'm thinking that they knew each other in some capacity. I'm not sure what. Most likely guess on my part that the pastor and Jordan were part of some vampire hunting society or brotherhood of some sort, because it seemed like the pastor was the only one that really understood what was going on and had half a brain to actually do something about it. He was the one that was rallying the rest of the council. The rest of the council were pretty much idiots. So when he realized he was going to blow them up, they're like, what the hell are you doing? Makes you wonder, though, how did everybody know that there was vampires there after so many centuries? Lends to the idea that there is probably some sort of hunting brotherhood of some sort, some type of organization, some type of group that's been keeping tabs. Had to be. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Next. I've got like 4 pages of notes. Seriously. So next scene we see is Carol Lockwood goes to talk to Damon, and Damon's at the Mystic Grill, doing what Damon always does at the Mystic Grill, drinking himself silly. She goes to sit down next to him, and he says no, and leave that seat open. And anybody that knows Damon knows that that's kind of Damon's, that was him kind of paying homage to Alaric, because that was where Alaric used to sit whenever they would go to the bar and drink. And I guess in his mind, he feels like Rick is still there, you know? He doesn't want anybody sitting in his seat because that's Rick's seat. It was really kind of sweet. And something very Damon-like. She goes and asks him, do you have anything to do with the bombing of the council? He's like, why are you asking me? Oh, because it's me, right? Anything bad that goes on immediately, that must mean that Damon had something to do with it. During this, we get a cut to the school. I don't even know if Elaine at this point is still going to school or not, because I don't think that she can properly function in a group full of people. Jeremy apparently still is, because he's with Matt at the school and they're discussing Elena and the feeding issues, and Matt is asking him if she's okay, and he feels like she is, but he knows that she's not quite all there, and that it's not, he doesn't know how long it's going to take her to be okay, but he really just wants her to be okay. He wants his sister back, and Matt still feels responsible, but from what I can tell, Damon is the only one that seems to harbor a grudge. Not even Elena is angry, only Damon is. Everyone else in town, in the know, seems to be understanding towards Matt, and they don't blame him in the least, but Matt blames himself. He feels guilty, he feels like it was his fault, and it really wasn't. He wasn't the one that stood in the middle of the bridge. It was Rebecca. So he feels like he needs to do something to pay it forward or pay it back or something to help her. But he doesn't know what. He doesn't even know how to talk to her. And right at that moment, a teenage girl comes up and says, hey, Jeremy, do you remember me? And he kind of looks at her like, no, not really. Because I've got a million other things on my mind. And she says, yeah, well, a couple of years ago, it was look more gothy, black skirts, more bracelets. She goes, April Young. Yeah, this is the April from the letter, Pastor Young's daughter.